Okay, hear me out. What if Leon Prater, the billionaire serial killer collector in Dexter Resurrection, has a much deeper and much more personal connection to one of Dexter's most infamous enemies, Brian Moser, the ice truck killer? What if Leon and Brian actually knew each other years before Dexter ever met Rudy Cooper? What if they were in foster care together and Leon is the one who helped Brian disappear, giving him the tools, the identity, and the freedom to set his plan in motion to get closer to Dexter? Sounds crazy, but let me break this down. It might make sense. So I want to talk about Leon's backstory and the foster home connection, okay? Leon Prater's story sounds inspiring on paper. Tragic childhood, parents killed in a drunk driving accident, saved by police, grew up in foster care, became a billionaire philanthropist, but buried in that feel-good origin story is a big gap. Those teenage years in foster care. We know Leon spent most of his teenage years in one particular foster home that he remembers fondly. And we know that after his parents died, he ended up in a rough neighborhood where the New York Ripper was active. That's the kind of environment where you meet people who've been through serious trauma. Now, Brian Moser, after watching his mother be dismembered in front of him, was sent to a mental institution, eventually released at 21, and disappeared off the radar for years before showing up as Rudy Cooper. Alright, so here's where I'm tying this stuff together, okay? What if Leon and Brian paths crossed right after Brian was released? It's not impossible that Brian ended up in the foster system briefly, bouncing between placements. Where he met Leon, they would have had a lot in common. Childhood trauma, mistrust of authority, a sense of being different from everyone else. And remember, Leon has an obsession with serial killers. It's not a stretch to think that fascination started early, and that Brian might have been one of the first people to feed into it. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward, okay? Brian needs a new life, a way to vanish, and an identity that gets him close to Dexter without setting off alarms. We know that Rudy Cooper was a real person Brian murdered in 1998. But where did Brian get the skills, the resources, and maybe even that idea to completely reinvent himself? Leon Prater, with his connections and his knack for wearing many hats, could have been the one to help. Even before becoming a billionaire, Leon was resourceful. He knew people, he knew the systems, and he already learned how to navigate the gray areas of what's legal and not legal. Helping Brian disappear could have been Leon's first real taste of manipulating a killer's career. This could have been the start of his trophy collecting, not just keeping items, but actually creating the careers of notorious killers. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Leon's vault contained trophies from dozens of killers, including the ice truck killer. This isn't just evidence he bought. It feels personal. If he helped Brian become Rudy, if he set the stage for the ice truck killer's spree, then of course he'll want to keep a piece of it. This explains why Leon seems so intimately invested in killers, not just as a hobby, but almost like a mentor looking back on his proteges. And think about it, the same way Brian left clues for Dexter, Leon might have been leaving his own breadcrumb trail for someone, maybe even Dexter himself. So if this theory holds water, Leon Prater isn't just some rich guy collecting murder souvenirs. He might just have actually shaped the course of one of Dexter's most dangerous enemies. If Leon really did help Brian become the ice truck killer, then Dexter's current fight isn't just with a collector. It's with someone who's been orchestrating the moves of killers for decades.